let's get some work done in the orchard. It's a little bit rainy, but we got to get some things done up in the orchard. I have to pull some weeds, feed the goats, plant some things up here on the berm, and I wanted to bring you along. Up here in the orchard area is this plant that we call giant ragweed. If I leave this ragweed to grow, it's going to be 10, 12 feet tall, like a forest up here. In fact, when we first moved out to the farm, all of this area where we're standing was just a giant ragweed forest that we couldn't even see through. If we get to it while it's still small, it's not that hard to pull out. I use gloves because the ragweed is a bit scratchy. The roots can get really deep if you let the plant get too big. Now, one of the reasons I'm up in the orchard pulling this by hand instead of using some weed eater or other mechanized form of removal is that I want to harvest this to feed to the goats. The goats love ragweed and it's very nutritious for them. If I get to them early enough, this is a pretty easy chore. If I let it go too far, it's a massive chore. Another plant that can get horribly out of control is the wild sunflowers. Now, I like some of these sunflowers to live and grow up and produce seed for the birds, but this is too many. So we're going to take some of these out and give those to the goats as well. Their roots are not quite as hard to pull out as the ragweed. I really enjoy seeing the birds on the Daddykirbs farm. One of the birds that enjoys the sunflower seeds is the cardinal. It's a beautiful red bird, and I love seeing the families of cardinals live out here. So I like to leave some of the wild sunflower just for them. If you remember, a few months ago, I came up here and I planted some kaya plants. And right here's one that lived through the winter. The top of it dried and died off, but the bottom of it made roots and it's growing. So I got to get some of these sunflowers out of here to give the kaya plant some sun. Let's go through these to the goats and get some things out of the garden. Goats always love those treats that I throw in because they have most of this area all browsed down and there's not much left except for some grasses and some weeds. Since we're here, we can talk about the blackberries. Last fall sometime, I thought I got all the blackberries out of here, but obviously there were lots of tidbits of roots that were still in here and it's growing back plants, which is wonderful because I'm going to use this as a place to get more blackberry plants to put elsewhere on the farm. Now let's go to the garden and get a few things to plant in the orchard. One of the things that I really need to get planted, they've been screaming for some help, is my elderberry plants. They've been doing okay in the pots, but I know that I have really shortchanged these plants because they should have already been probably 4 or 5 feet tall, and I need to get them in the ground. Another something that I need to get planted are blackberries. And I think this is great. It's raining. If I let it happen, this entire orchard, or at least this first swale, would be all sunflowers. I still have lots of weeding to do, but I'm going to go ahead and plant one of these elderberry between my persimmon and apple tree. I'm going to try to save this bag. It's not a high dollar bag, but every bag saved is a little money I don't have to spend in the future. It looks like that the root of the elderberry hit the wall of the bag and is sending a shoot up. I'm going to massage and mush that root ball a little bit so it changes shape. I might be able to save it. Oh, I did. Now you can see the roots. There's another one. That's another root that hit the wall and was turning up. It was actually making a little plant, a little side shoot right there below the soil level. You can tell that fabric pot, what it does as those roots grow out and it hits the fabric pot, they get pruned by the light and the air, forcing a lot of baby roots, which is what you can see here. I want to plant it so this right here is basically soil level. Right about like that. And you can see lots of good little worms in my soil. That's one elderberry plant. So the pattern that I'm going to go for on this front berm is fruit tree, blackberry, elderberry, blackberry, fruit tree. So between each two fruit trees will be 2 blackberry and an elderberry. This is in the middle, so now I'm going to plant 2 blackberries on either side of it. Jack will get his shower at the same time. I love these tubes right here for starting plants from cuttings. Most or all of these blackberries that I'm planting today came from cuttings off of my other plants. This gives a lot of room for deep root growth. Kind of broke the roots, but good thing about blackberry is they're very hardy, and wherever there's a lot of roots, you're most likely going to get a successful plant. We're just slightly compacting the soil around the plant just to get it held in place. We don't want to pack it in real tight, but if you leave it too loose, that plant might sink or move. That one came out a lot easier. I don't know what the problem was with that first one. The blackberry and elderberry has been planted. A lot of the weeds have been pulled. Now let's do a little work to make it pretty. Not really just about making it pretty. It really is about adding organic matter to the top of the soil and covering it with mulch to help feed that soil throughout the season. That layer of leaves looks pretty good, but with the rain, the wind, and the chickens, it won't last very long. So let's cover it with a layer of mulch. About 20 trips later, I'm ready to rake it out. Maybe we'll get that rain the weatherman promised, and all of this will settle in real nice. That was a good long day's work. I'm happy to have that done. The orchard looks better. The orchard is going to look way better in a few months when I have elderberries and blackberries growing up between the apple trees over here. Thank you so much for joining me in the Daddykirbs orchard. I'll talk to you soon.
Good morning, Maggie. Good morning. Hi, sweetie.
It's a little bit... You gotta be kidding me.